So, I mean, some of the comments Annie made, I find it so relatable because I've been there myself where, you do a show after a show. There's been a men's Premier League game maybe somewhere in London. You're getting a train back. I've had abuse before. I've also had people grabbing me, giving me a kiss on the cheek, which might seem great, but that's the reality. I've had 2 death threats before, just from a comment I said about Mitrovic. And, I always say my opinion is my opinion, but it doesn't mean it's factual. And I don't think any opinion should warrant that type of abuse. I also think a lot of these people that, come after us, they need to recognise that you might not like me, you might not like my voice, you might not like the way I look. That's your opinion, but why do you have to say that out loud? Because I don't come up to you and tell you what I think of you. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, I don't know, I'm always with Annie. We've been through a lot together over the years, with the whole thing at the FA in England before, a few years ago. That's been put to bed, but I think, I think in this fight to kind of make change and so people are not nasty, we have to all stick together as opposed to dividing and conquering. So, I'm fully behind what Annie's doing, and a lot of us are. And, I can completely relate to what she's saying about, being in the disguise when you go out, because it's happened to me before where people look at you as if to say, is that? Or people might come up to you at any given moment. And it might be good, it might not be good, but you can't control it. And that's the reality. So, yeah, I mean, I love what I do, but there are pros and cons of it.
And Champions League, obviously, both English teams went down in the first leg. Arsenal a little bit narrow, Chelsea less so. What are you thinking for this weekend, Lianne?
Oh, do you know what? Again, Arsenal, I think the scoreline flattered us a little bit because I think Lyon and Barcelona are so far superior. When you watch the games live, and as much as it pains me to say it, every time Chelsea come up against Barcelona, they don't seem to have a game plan, stick to their game plan, sorry. They don't seem to be able to kind of they've never beaten them, semi-finals and finals. So, obviously, it seems like Arsenal were a lot closer with the scoreline, but I do think that scoreline flattered Arsenal quite a bit. Yeah. But they're still in it. I think for Chelsea, I definitely think they can score at Stamford Bridge, but I think the problem is they're not going to stop Barcelona from scoring. They score 1, it's 5-1, it's game over. I said I think the game's wrapped up already for Barcelona, but I hope not.
And Alessia Russo I want to speak about, obviously number 9 for Arsenal. She's moved from Manchester United. She's the number 9 for England. How do you think that move's helped her, and what have you made of her over the last couple of seasons growing into her own?
I think Renee Slegers has been massive in that. Kelly Smith, I know, is a good friend of mine. She's working really closely with her, and I think Jonas Eideveld took the club as far as he could. I think when she came over, it was between her and Stina Blackstenius, and I couldn't get my head around the fact that you spend all this money on Alessia Russo. It doesn't give you a divine right to start in games, but it was as a player, if a coach isn't having you. And I felt like Jonas never really gave her the opportunities that she deserved. Now, she kind of knows she's the number 9. She's scoring goals. She looks confident. And I said that game against Real Madrid, I wanted her to show her nastiness. And I don't mean being nasty. What I mean by that is, I'm really nice off the pitch, but when I'm on the pitch, I'm a nightmare. I hated losing. I'm not a bad loser, but I hate losing. There's a difference. And I think you have to have that little bit of edge to you. I think against Real Madrid, we saw that. And I hope that can continue because I love Alessia Russo. I think she's a top player. And I think, she could become even better than she already is if that's possible.